What happened to General Burgdorf, Field Marshal Rommel's executioner? General Wilhelm Burgdorf did not simply revere Hitler, he was fanatically devoted to him. It was he whom the Führer entrusted with the most delicate and dirty job, the elimination of Erwin Rommel. Burgdorf personally read the Field Marshal the charges of treason and offered him a choice that left no hope. After Rommel took poison in the backseat of a staff car on October 14, 1944, Burgdorf's career skyrocketed. He became head of the Army Personnel Department and one of the most influential people in Hitler's inner circle. When Soviet troops closed in on Berlin in April 1945, Burgdorf did not flee. He locked himself in an underground bunker with his idol. As the city was reduced to ruins, the general spent his time in endless arguments with other officers and in alcoholic oblivion. Witnesses recalled that in his final days, Burgdorf behaved like a man who had lost everything. He often flew into a rage, accusing generals of cowardice and incompetence, as if trying to drown out his own conscience for what he had done to Rommel. Burgdorf was one of those who signed Adolf Hitler's political will as a witness. He remained with the Führer until the very last second, until the moment when a fatal shot rang out in the depths of the bunker. It seemed that after Hitler's suicide, Burgdorf had a chance to try to break out of the encirclement, as many others had done. He had connections, resources, and the opportunity to hide by changing from his uniform into civilian clothes. However, the burden of what he had done and the realization of the collapse of the empire proved stronger than his instinct for self-preservation. When Soviet soldiers were already a few hundred meters from the entrance to the bunker, Burgdorf realized that outside these concrete walls, only the gallows awaited him, not for defeat in the war, but for betraying the true heroes of Germany. He did not want to surrender and did not want to face the judgment of history. The night of May 2, 1945 was his last. In the company of his colleague General Hans Krebs, they had one last drink, realizing that their world had been completely destroyed. They decided not to wait for the assault and followed the example of their Führer. Rommel's executioner ended his life in the same gloomy dungeon, shooting himself in the temple a few hours before the red flag was raised over the Reichstag.